further ado.
Okay, I'll turn that off.
Can we have a hand, please, for Margaret, and then I'll mute.
Okay. Hello, hello everybody. It's lovely to be here. And it's so nice to be at the Red Wheelbarrow again and see all of you. And it's lovely to be the first one of the year to do this. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jacques, and thank you for everyone for coming. Now, what I wanted to do this evening, because we've been living for 2 years with COVID, and I wanted to say how lucky I am, because I've had these 2 years living in a place called Evergreen. It's I would call it an old age complex, but I'm not allowed to call it that. We have to call it a lifestyle village. That is the PC word to say. And it's been very nice to live here because it's comfortable, it's safe, it has a lovely garden. And so I thought I'd celebrate tonight by reading poems about Evergreen. Starting with this one called 7 Ways of Looking at Evergreen. And this is after Wallace Stevens' 13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird. Well, I couldn't find 13 ways, I could only find 7 ways. But here they are. A beach and a mountain and a village are Muizenberg. A beach and a mountain and a village and Evergreen are Muizenberg. Behind the dunes, across the Vlei, Evergreen rises up in bricks and concrete. From the roof of the apartment block, a pair of Egyptian geese look down on Evergreen. At Evergreen, there's much knitting on Thursdays, much exercising on Tuesdays and Fridays, and much singing on Mondays, except when we are stopped from singing by COVID. In Evergreen, there are 300 people, 100 pigeons, but only 1 pin-tailed wider. Now, the pin-tailed wider, of course, lives in the middle in the place called the Boardwalk Garden, which sits in the middle of Evergreen, and there's a little stream running through it, and there's a walkway over the stream. And this one is called Stopping by the Boardwalk. Stopping by the boardwalk on a springtime afternoon, I watch a sluggish stream drag threads of algae towards the big black pipe that takes the pumped out water to the Vlei. Once I saw a leopard toad with speckled skin go into this pipe, his back legs thrashing like an Olympic swimmer in a speed event. During lockdown, nobody walked here. A family of geese once settled by the bridge, but guards were sent to chase them out. The bushes, untrimmed since the pandemic, now shelter birds of every kind. Doves gather here on sunny days, and sparrows settle on the railings. I bring my camera to record them. Some like to pose for portraits, others hide. But many have grown bold. Small Robin Chat, who used to be so shy, now comes into my house. I chase him out. My dogs will catch him if they can. A turtle dove once came to call and only just escaped, leaving a mound of feathers on the mat. In my small garden, there are sunbirds in the bushes and hardy-daws digging for worms on the lawn. Oh, where I have become of bird life in this place. The plague that distanced me from human neighbors has brought me closer to these other residents. Now, so there are a lot of birds of different kinds, and they all, when I sit at my desk, I can hear them, and they make quite a lot of noise sometimes. And I wonder what they say. So this is bird calls, what birds really say. Geese wake my dogs with squawks of warning. Go away, go away. Beamer and lassie rush out in protest, yapping loud and shrill. It's not for geese, they feel, to do a job which should belong to them. I rise, fill food and water bowls, then sit and listen to a pair of sparrows chatter in the camphor tree. Do you know what she did? No, really? Can you believe it? A tiny Prinia, Jack Russell of the bird world, thinks he's bigger than an eagle, alights on the brown salvia by the door. His voice rings out, look, 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 look at me, I'm the greatest, look at me. On the wall, doves coo sweet nothings, while a cheeky feral pigeon, picking bits of seed from off our roof, looks down his beak at barking dogs below, calls nonchalantly out to them, fuck you, fuck you. Then there's there are a lot of pigeons and a lot of doves around here. And this is one about the doves, Savage Spring. Why do we believe that doves bring peace? Like most birds, they're perpetually at war. As I look out my door, a pair is fighting sparrows for the camphor tree, disputing possession of a nesting site. On the sidewalk, others squabble over scattered crumbs, and two fierce maids are battling in my yard. A love triangle has caused their pecking match. Their cooing sounds so sweet, but don't be fooled. It's not a love song, it's a battle cry. Now, not only do we have doves and sparrows and robins, but they're also the very pretty little sunbirds. And while I was trying to study the philosophy of physical sciences through the internet, and I'm afraid it's a course that I failed in the end, there was a little sunbird singing in the camphor tree outside my door. So this is the poem about it, Introduction to the Philosophy of Physical Sciences. The double-collared sunbird singing happily on the top branches of my camphor tree knows nothing of dark matter or dark energy. And I, too, cannot understand how it can be that things so strange and so perverse can make up more than half the universe. But I'm thankful for the gifts of hearing and of sight, although for all things not atomic, they might be limited. Yet all life long, these gifts have allowed me to enjoy those startling colors, that sweet warbling song. Now, not only do we have lots of birds, but we have lots of different plants here, and they're all indigenous. But I'm only going to tell you about one of them, and that's called the num-num. I don't know whether people know the num-num, but it really grows in the Eastern Cape more than it grows down here. Num-num. Carissa, its proper Latin name, suits it better with its spiky leaves and its bright scarlet fruit, so sweet and ripe, so squashy, soft and dark, with little pips and chewy skin, something to look out for in the veld in spring. Here in this village, gardeners have planted num-num, but residents leave its fruit rotting on the ground. So I steal just a few each time I take a walk. And I really enjoy them. And then there are a lot of people here in this, and their people are really very nice. I have quite a lot of them come and visit me. Now these are callers, and I wrote this, I haven't sent it to him, I thought, but I wrote it because of John Matham and how he's read my poem so well on the radio. Callers. Callers come to my small cottage. One comes to drink tea and talk of poetry. One comes in a wheelchair to bring me crosswords. Others come to buy marmalade. I'm famous for my orange marmalade. Last night, I dreamt an actor came to call. He said he wanted to register for a postal vote. I would have liked to help him, as he once read my verses at a recital, but although I didn't say so, my poems have been read much better. Lost my place now. Some poems of mine, read on the radio, much enhanced and given meaning by a fine voice, were carried on the airwaves across the bay and picked up by a friend I hadn't seen for years. They reminded her of happy times together. So she came calling, bringing a box of biscuits and a rich Christmas cake. Now, I said all the good things about Evergreen, or a lot of the good things, but people have got complaints. And if you have a complaint, there is a residents committee meeting and you can go to them. And now here are some notes on the residents committee meeting. And this is really a found poem, because I've hardly added anything to what I read in the residents committee meeting minutes. Notes on the minutes of the residents committee meeting. A photo in the hall was wrongly named. A dog has defecated on the lawn. A resident hasn't signed his visitor's access slip. Nothing is as it ought to be. A bush is covering a speeding sign. A bird has made a nest in someone's awning. Some unknown person dumped some stuff outside the gate. Nothing is as it ought to be. The lawns are watered far too much. The bush outside the clinic is too thick. Vegetables are manhandled at the kitchen door. Nothing is as it ought to be. Residents walk dogs at night without a light and go out on the road without a litter bag. A cat's been digging in a resident's flower bed. Nothing is as it ought to be. Residents are going absent unannounced and don't tell security when they have trouble with their water. Anyway, anyone who didn't order lunch should only get a sandwich. Nothing is as it ought to be. So now, one of the nicer things about living here is all the different things you can do, all the activities, and these are all activities, or nearly all of them, organized by the residents themselves, but some have been done for us by management. And one of these is the seniors exercise class. So this is what the seniors exercise class is like. Have you each got a chair? No, Jane, we're not going to sit down yet. Just stand by your chair. Molly, your chair should be turned to the front so you can see me. Yes, that's right, Molly. Well done. Now I've got some Elvis music so you can all start dancing. Oh dear, the Elvis CD doesn't seem to be working. Let's try this one. Soul music is too slow, Margaret. Just ignore the music and march on the spot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. March, march, march. Keep it up, keep it up. Lift legs, swing arms. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now stop and stretch. A nice high stretch. Stretch higher. Stretch more. Feel the pain. Feel the pain all the way down from your head to your feet. It's a good pain. Feel the good pain. If you're still standing, shake out your arms and legs. Well done. Turn your chair to the left. Your left's on the other side, Molly. That's right, Molly. Well done. Hold back and stand on your toes. Up, down, up, down. Squat. Hold that squat for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And another 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now sit and pull in your tummy. Pull it in. Pull it in more. Try to breathe. Try to smile, Emily. It doesn't hurt that much. Do your arm exercise at the same time. Keep pulling in your tummy. Tight, tight, tight. Do your neck exercises. Pull in your tummy. Tight, tight, tight. Do your finger exercises. Well done. Well done. Relax your tummy and give yourself the hug. Well done. You shouldn't be immobilized with stiffness for more than 2 days. By Fridays, you should be recovered enough to be ready to do this all over again. Now, there's the other one about music, but I think I'll leave that one and tell you, we also have a choir, but we don't have it at the moment because of COVID. We're not allowed to sing, but we still do a lot of sewing and knitting. And this is Designing Women. They do it in the common room of the old age home. They do it on embroidery frames. They do it with knitting needles. They do it with crochet hooks. They stitch storms, floods and fires, blue flames and white hot coals. They knit red sunsets, emerald rivers, blue skies and cirrus clouds. They spread before us crocheted jungles full of tigers, pythons, apes and cobras. Their fingers fashion sandy deserts, rushing rivers, rolling hills and rocky cliffs. They do it in stranded cotton, 4-plough wool, and colored thread. They do it for the poor and needy. They do it for love. Now, so, and they do the most wonderful knitted stuff. You can't believe how talented they are. I go maybe, and I think I did one jersey last year, and perhaps I'll manage a couple of squares this year. Anyway, so after all this stuff, doing all these things, one gets very tired. So I try to sleep in the morning, but this is what happens. Trying to sleep in. My phone wakes me to bring a view of the sun rising over the sea from a grandson in Jeffreys Bay, and a video of a kitten from a grandchild in America. I pull up bedclothes, settle back in bed. Ringtones again, and I get a promotion from a supermarket, a long prayer from a church group, and a short quiz from a fellow resident. I fill in the answers, try to go back to sleep. Then comes a notice of a dog club competition, an offer to buy Bitcoin, and an inspirational message from the Bishop of False Bay. I turn over, close my eyes again. My phone wakes me, sorry. Then it's not yet 7 when management lets me know there will be load shedding tonight and the bistro have a special on donuts. I give up, get out of bed, get dressed, and start the day. But there are some things that Evergreen does extremely well, and one of them is the vaccination. So I think just about 300 people, nearly all of them have been vaccinated. And none of them seem to have had any trouble with the vaccinations. And it's done so easily and so efficiently. So here are thoughts while waiting for vaccination. More theatre foyer than a doctor's waiting room. Lines of plastic chairs snake round the dining room, past gym and hairdressing salon, and at last intrude into the library, where Mfundu stands with clipboard to assign us to our places. Folk I haven't seen for months. Who can that be? Colourful masks and trendy shades, hair dyed unlikely blonde. Is it Molly? No, too tall. Or Jennifer, grown thin? Of course it's Mary from Apartment 16. Someone is calling me and waving. It's the Lean from the Phase 3 cottages. I thought she'd left last year, or even died. But there she is, a sprazzer, rolling up a sleeve enthusiastically. Everyone is moving up. Unvaccinated residents are coming in as vaccinated ones move out. We chat to everybody as they pass. Hello, how nice to see you looking well. Yes, we'll have to get together again soon. A social occasion, this is such a great success. Perhaps like our annual New Year party, we could hold a vaccination every year. And here is something about the Christmas and New Year things we do. There is one about the New Year party, which is not very kind. So, but I think I'll read it all the same. Wait a minute, there should be another. There should be some other. There should be. I should have another page here, but I'm not sure where it is. Never mind. Here is what it's like at Christmas time. We go around carol singing. Carol singing into an old age complex. As the moon, one day from full, stares pale through clumps of cirrus cloud. We bring our candles and our hymn sheets and gather at the gate to start our pilgrimage around the cottages. A singer in a motor wheelchair leads the way, and bringing up the rear, another singer leans on a walker. Our choir master gives the note, and off we go. We stumble into Bethlehem. Our voices tremble on the damp night air, then swell. Sound spreads, doors open, hands wave out of windows. Soft drizzle sparkles in our hair. We visit all the units one by one. Legs weary, breath a little short. Song starts to peter out. And then a woman, surprised at hearing music by her door, comes out and looks confusedly about. Through the fog that fills her aging brain, recalls something she first learnt at her mother's knee, and joyfully joins in with sweet soprano, Stille Nacht, silent night, holy night. I don't know whether that is how much more time I've got. I think I'd like to leave it at that maybe, unless you want me to read a few more.
You're very welcome to read a few more. You're doing well for times. You don't have to push yourself, but you're very welcome to read a few more.
Okay. I haven't, these are the ones I chose to read. There's this one, which is rather, I say rather not so kind, called New Year at the Old Age Complex. But I mean, it's, I can tell you I didn't go to, I've been to one of these New Year's brides, but this year we had a much nicer time. We're going to my granddaughter. The New Year at the Old Age Complex. The New Year's Eve party was a great success. Nearly everybody said so. You get one of my books out. And the venue was well suited to the occasion, given the lack of choice. Many of the guests remarked on the decorations, but not always favorably. The welcoming drinks were like ambrosia, but ambrosia has been stored around a bit too long. The wine was nectar of the lesser gods. The roast beef was done to a turn, but perhaps just one turn too many. At midnight, we sang Auld Lang Syne enthusiastically, the handful of us who were still there. Let's find something that I'd like to finish on.
If you want to do driving with daughters, I can do both.
Okay.
stages.
Oh, well, would you like me to do driving with daughters?
Would love you to do
Driving
that.
with daughters?
Love you to do it. And if you've got the choir one.
Oh, the choir. Okay, would you like the choir one? I've got the choir one here.
Yes,
Shall we end on the choir one?
can you do both?
Well, yes, I've got my granddaughter here to help me with the driving with daughters. And there could be one or two of them. Where's the choir? The choir one is right there, isn't it? I thought comes after the exercise class. Yeah. This is music. This is music. Well, we hope it is. Nobody auditions for this choir. We welcome anyone who can stagger in with a walking frame or roll up in a wheelchair. We start with a deep breath. Breathe in for a count of 3. Now breathe out for a count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. Didn't manage more than 5? Never mind. Go up the scale. La, 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 la. Now take out your song sheets. Forgotten yours, Amy? Just share with somebody. We'll start with the first song. You have the wrong page, Molly. Can someone help to find it? Yes, it's the first one on the sheet, Bessie. Let's have the soprano part first. Where are the sopranos? Oh dear, 2 of them ill, you say, and perhaps the other 2 forgot the day. We'll start with the altos then. You say you haven't learned the notes? Were none of you here last week? Oh, well, let's all just sing together. Do, re, mi, so, fa, la, ti, do.
I got it here.
Okay, you got it here. All right. Driving with daughters.
So
You're the one. You
which-
start with that.
I'm my mom, and I guess you'll have to be my aunt. Okay. Mother, look out! The car in front. It's going to turn suddenly. Slow down, slow down.
No, it's okay. It's not turning after all.
But you didn't see it, did you?
Did you think she saw it?
No, of course she didn't. Mother, the robot, it's red, it's red. I thought you weren't going to stop. Did you think she was going to stop?
No, I didn't think she was going to stop either.
She never looks as though she's going to stop.
No, she never does.
Okay, it's green now. You can go, Mother. Well, I wasn't sure you had noticed.
Mother, shouldn't you be in the other lane? Don't you have to turn right?
Oh, don't confuse her. She'll forget where she's going.
But you think she really knows the way?
Where are the directions? Why didn't you write them down, Mother?
You thought you'd remember them? What made you think that?
I'm sure we're on the wrong road. Let me Google the address. I can't read it.
Let me try. No, I can't read it either.
All right, now I've got it. Stop, Mother, stop. You should have turned left at the last intersection. What's the matter, Mother? Why are you turning off the ignition and getting out of the car? Was it something we said?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. It's a pity I didn't have another daughter here with me. They were both here and we would have been lovely, but they left on the 1st of, and they're very happy to go because they weren't able to get back home. They were shut out of their country, which is New Zealand, and they left on the 1st of, luckily they were able to go and get a flight, and they left on the 1st. So thank you very much, everyone. And it's been a great pleasure to read to you.
Okay. Can we have a hand of applause for Margaret, please? Margie, thank you so much for that. That was absolutely delightful. And we're glad that you are pleased that you were the first reader for this year, because we certainly are. I don't know if there are any questions. I've sort of half formulated one. Maybe I'll start and then Melissa can say whether there are other hands up in the room. Are there any hands up at the moment?
Nobody's hand is up yet. If you have a question, you can raise your hand.
Okay, I'll do my half formulated one then. Do you? I love the sort of twists. They're very gentle twists, but the sort of twists that happen in the poems where, you know, sort of a stumble around the cottages becomes a pilgrimage, or a boring vaccination event becomes a party. Do you often start with an ending in mind? Do you start by saying, how can I transform this? Or do you just sort of let the spirit take you and see where it goes?
I think sometimes it is like that, you know. There's a whole idea, a whole poem, and the whole idea of the poem, and I think about it quite a lot before I sit down. And sometimes in the middle of the night, the ideas will come to me, and then I will think about it quite a lot before I put it down. But then sometimes something just runs away with me. And like the other day, when I've just been doing a course with Fanula, which is for the summer school, you know, the UCT summer school course.
Yes.
And she gives us prompts and we have to write something. And something else just started and it just came running, but very seldom does it do that. It's usually it usually has a whole idea of beginning and end, and it's the middle that does a lot of work, takes a lot of work.
And I love it when it takes over. I thought that the voice of the fitness instructor,
yes,
he starts talking about the good pain.
So she's very sweet. I know.
It's lovely.
I know. And by the way, there isn't anybody called Molly or Betty, or they all are made up names.
I'm sure. No, I'm sure. I also like the the one that you thought wasn't kind. I thought it was kind. I thought it was quite. It was more. It was maybe it was disappointed, but it wasn't unkind. You know?
It wasn't a very exciting evening, I must say.
Yes.
And that for me.
Barbara's got her hand up.
Hello. No, who's got a hand up? Oh,
Barbara.
Yeah. Margie, I was thrilled to hear what you said about the doves, because I've been feeding about 50 doves, and forever the dove of peace, holy dove on my shoulder, has
oh, yes.
gone, absolutely gone, and I agree with you. But we have some small, tiny little birds that come and I mean, there's a hatchling has come out. It's half the size of my thumb.
Oh, no, really?
And it
Yes.
goes in between these birds. They don't even know it's there.
Oh, no, how sweet.
But I just really resonated with you, what fun it is, you know,
Yes.
to watch them and have
Well,
a
you know,
point of view.
during lockdown, I think it's because it's so quiet. One of them nested in the tree just outside my door, and I used to see it coming and going, and I saw it sitting there, and then I saw it was no longer sitting there. And to my surprise, what had happened is that the little ones had hatched out. And when I really climbed up to have a good look, there I saw two little birds sitting in the nest, and two of them. And eventually they flew out, and they came down and sat on the fence. And that was so exciting, really lovely.
Well, I really resonated with that.
Mm.
With that. Thank you.
I think my favorite character was the feral pigeon. The feral pigeon that wants the dogs.
Well, if they do that, and that's the way they were looked as well. They couldn't care about the dogs at all. They think the dogs, they didn't take any notice of
They'll never sound the same to me again.
it.
But there must be other questions.
Anybody else? Here we
Hi,
go. Go on.
Of what?
I can't find my hand to raise my hand. May I ask a question?
Well,
It's gone.
Let's say we'll see you. I can see you.
Hello, Margaret.
Hello.
The fabulous reading. I did join late, but I really want to ask you, how did you develop your very unique voice? I mean, you know, most of us start in such a generic way, and you've just like gone full tilt into your own original way of saying things, and you're incorporating dialogue in such a fabulous way and hilarious way. I really admire that, and I just wonder if you can give the rest of us some pointers as how to develop our own original way of observing very acutely, astutely, very observing and recording what's happening in the room in such a humorous way as well.
Well, I think it's the dialogue I've always enjoyed. Like to listen to people, and I've started. The first thing I started writing when I only started writing in my late 60s, and when I started by writing plays. I was asked to write a play for the church, and I started by writing plays, and I think that's where it comes from. You listen to people talking, and sometimes it's very, what they're saying is so amusing, and the way they're saying it is really amusing, and I think that's where a lot of that comes from. And so that's, they're driving with daughters and all things like that are, but otherwise poems owe a lot to Fionnuala Dowling, who's been helped me tremendously, and I've been to a lot of her workshops, and sometimes I tease her and I say I come there with a whole page and I go back with about 4 or 5 lines, and she said, "No, you don't need this." But I think that's one of the things that she really taught, was to cut down, to pare down. Poems are not supposed to be long and long drawn out. They're supposed to tell you an awful lot in very little space. But otherwise, as I say, I never really took my poetry all that seriously. It's something I do for fun, really.
Well, maybe that's part of the secret then.
Is that?
I
Yes, I
that-
think that is part of the secret, isn't it? So doing something, you know, now I've got the time to, and I've retired and got the time to do these, to spend really a lot of time on one little bit of poetry, which I really didn't have before.
But the lightness is very attractive. It's a relief, really. It is.
Well, I think a lot of people find it easier to relate to, you know. But I don't know what's the matter with me, because I start off being very serious, and when I write it down, it all comes out false. I don't know why that is.
Well, it's a gift. I know people who do the opposite. You know, who turn wine into water, and that's it's fine, but one gets tired. You know.
I love the wine into water. I've never heard that one before. That's from you. That's what you said. What you
I probably stole it from somewhere, so you can steal it back. You can steal it as well.
I'll write it down and keep it.
Do.
I see Charles has got a hand up as well. Just unmute yourself, Charles.
I quite forgot. Sorry about that. Yeah, Margaret, I love that very much. Just to sort of embroider a bit on what Barbara said, I also feed the birds under a big tree. It's mostly doves and pigeons that come, but 2 squirrels come as well. Yes. And the great fun is to see how they all interact and how the doves chase each other, and then the squirrels try and chase the birds, and then the birds try and chase the squirrels, and
there's no peace there, is there? Doves are not peaceful at all, are they?
No. They're quite aggressive. They really run at each other, jump on top of each other, and all sorts of things. Maybe I must write a poem about that one day.
Yes, yes, you must.
Yeah, so I always really enjoy your poems. I must say I've got quite a lot of your books here in my collection.
Oh, thank you, Charles. That's lovely. Thank you very much.
So there's, as I say, not really a question. Thanks.
Well, thank you.
I'm wondering why you choose to write poetry. I feel, and not in a bad way, I love your poetry as well, and I think you're very much a storyteller, which not everyone who writes poetry is, and bringing in the dialogue, all of that is storytelling as well. So do you write short stories and that kind of thing as well, or are you very drawn to poetry?
Yeah, I do write. I started off with plays, as you know, and then I went on to do short stories. But my short stories have not been. I mean, my poems are published. I've had only 1 or 2 short stories published, and I think maybe it's easier. I don't know whether it's easier to publish poems or whether, although poetry doesn't actually sell, but I don't think short stories sometimes are used not to either. But I've tried to, I've sent them into a few of them, and I say 1 or 2 have been published, but haven't had great success with publishing them. But I have written quite a lot of them. But I do find I'm very lazy, and I tried to write a long novel, and I think I've about 4 chapters, and that was it. I got sick of it. It's too much like hard work. And now I think I'm too old, and I'm just wondering whether I'm not going to retire altogether.
Thank you. Anybody else who's got a question? Welcome to unmute yourself if you want. Or raise your hand or wave at me. Doesn't look like it. Then Jacques, any parting comments?
Okay.
Well, I immediately started imagining the poem that you'd write, Margaret, about whether you'd like to retire or not. So I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I'm afraid. No, I look forward to hearing that one.
Okay.
It's No, I just want to say you're incredibly generous to your audience, and I think that one of the reasons, who knows why one writes as one does or what one does, but one of the wonderful things about your poems is that you can hear them in one sitting, and they're generous poems. They sort of lift you up, and
thank you. Yeah.
so it'd be great if stories happen, but thank you for the poems, and thank you for reading to us tonight.
Well, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. I was quite nervous about it beforehand, and especially as my computer, but I'm so lucky to have a granddaughter who brought her computer. My computer was playing up and doing funny things and suddenly going blank and all sorts of, and I thought that was going to happen. But Danielle came, and she came to the rescue.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm very glad about that. And yes, I think a lot of us need rescuers on Zoom. I know.
Oh, I know. I don't know what I'd do without actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.